let's talk about change. If you are someone in my world, you want change, you're here for change, you know that there is this moreness that is calling you, and sometimes it can be a lot. That's what it feels like. I was going to say confused, but sometimes the notion of change can feel like a lot. And a lot of the time, it's because we're so good at getting all the things done that the idea of adding something to it when we are navigating so much already feels like it could just be the thing that tips the balance for us. It's this notion of, I've got a lot going on, so changing something feels like it's spinning the plates and you're going to drop one and it's going to fall and crash and that's going to distract you and then it's this tumbling. Anybody else have a brain like mine? So I had to look at change really differently because just action planning and putting these like markers in the sand of this is what I want to change, this is what I want different, I would just feel overwhelmed. It's feeling like it's a lot. I don't know how to go about it. I don't know what to wear. Or I'd go all in. Yes, I'm ready for change. I'm going to do it. And I'd go steamrolling in. And I would be like, I just need to think positive. I need to change. I need to do the work. And then I'd get like a week or two in and I'd burn out and I'd be in a worse position because I'd be thinking, oh my God, and this time I'm actively seeking something different. What the heck? So if that feels like you, but you want more, you're here for more, you know in your heart you've got more, but just going the traditional route about it isn't all that helpful for you. I really think this is going to be a useful use of your time. So let's dive into today's work together. I'm going to use the example of the notion there's not enough time. I'm always rushing, I'm always busy. I'm going to start with this because that was my life. I feel like I was running on a half breath all of the time. Oh, there's not enough time, there's too much to do. And honestly, that was true in a lot of ways. I have always prided myself on being very busy. We had very busy social lives, which I enjoy. We have busy family lives. We've got a lot of family that we love spending time with, friends that we love spending time with. At the time, I was a teacher, so I had my career. I was head of English. Had these different hats to put on as well as being a teacher. I was and am a twin mama, but the babies were really small at this time when I realized like, well, life isn't going in the direction that I would like it most to. And my husband, he worked away a lot. So at least once every week he'd be away. Most often it was for 2 nights. And I had newborn twins. Night like now looking back, they were both allergic to cow's milk. I didn't realize that at the time because I was so busy just plowing through that they wouldn't take feeds or anything. It was a lot. So the idea of bringing change into that, my mom was like, nah, but it needed to change. I also really recognize that. So I hope what we're going to do together today is going to be a practical thing that you can bring forward to stop this mantra inside the brain of I have to rush to do everything because there's so much to do all of the time. Now, if you're like me and you're like, yes, but Emma, that's true. Okay. Like, I know. But I did this work when I was in that, and I started to find evidence that I could change that, even though it felt like that would be impossible. And I knew if I just sat down, it's like, okay, so I could put the kids in nursery for this day. I could not work late. Like, I knew the logistical things to do the same way that you do. But actually, what we need to do to create the change is make space now. That's all we need to do. And the brain is like, no, I'm going to come up with this amazing plan about how I'm going to forward think and how I'm going to become the change and how it's like cool. Like outcome engineering is one of my favorite things to do now. But when you're in something, every time I see something new, I'm like, the change needs to start here and I need to make space here. So, what is the change that I want here? The change is that I don't want to feel so busy and overwhelmed all of the time. I want to know that I have got space inside my life. All I'd ever known was rushing and being busy and being on. Like, I wanted to taste, no, what off? I don't like being off. Like, I'm here to get stuff done. But also, I don't want to feel like I'm doing it at a million miles an hour, and I like I'm trying to catch my tail all the time, or I'm spinning plates and one might fall. To do that, I wouldn't try and think positive. Ugh. I wouldn't try and change things. I would say to myself, okay, what are the cues that I'm going to be looking out for? When I'm going to be in that busy, frantic energy, I know there's certain times where that's going to happen. In a morning, no matter what time I got up in the morning, it would never be early enough to mean I could get everything done, because I don't, my brain would want to be creating that energy of I'm so busy, I can't, I can't, I can't. So I would get up in the morning and I'd be ready for it. I'm like, okay, I wasn't like this either. Don't like, it was more of like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for my brain that I know is going to give me all of the reasons why this is too much and I have too much on and I'm too busy. I'm ready for it. And I would be a detective. I would be on the lookout for where that mantra was going to start showing up. So I'd get up and I'd be on the lookout. I'd check, like I'd always be checking the time, not on my watch, on my phone. Like I'd be looking at a time and then I'd see notifications like, oh, let me just lose 20 minutes in the apps and in the messages and in the things. And then I'd look up and be like, oh, I would be looking out for where I was putting myself into situations where my brain was allowing me to believe this of I'm so busy, I'm so overwhelmed, I need to rush all of the time, I need to be on a half breath all of the time. And then when I saw that, phone checks or whatever it would be, or I'm late, I got it, like we've got to go, we've got to go. And I would notice those habits happening, I'd stop. And my brain's like, what are you doing? I've literally just told you we're gonna be late. What are you doing, you idiot? Now we're gonna be later. And I would let that all unfold and I'd watch it. Hey, here are the guys. This is these three in absolute force. The monkey bar being like, we've got no time. But then I'd chill, like I'd do something, distract myself, and then I'd be triggered, being like, oh my God, 20 minutes is gone. Now I've got even less time. And then Francis would come in with the judgment of you're too busy all of the time. You never have enough time. So those three are just on me, and I'm looking out for them. Where are the thoughts coming in? Where do I feel it inside my body? Like, I feel that feeling. I hear that my brain is saying, we don't have time for this. You're just making it longer. Like it's getting worse. We could be doing the stuff to move time. But I promise you, when you start bringing some awareness, and yours might not be time and busyness, yours might be something completely different, but you can see how this will apply to your life. When you notice that thought is running and ruling you, you can start to be like, okay, I'm going to watch this. I'm going to watch how quickly my mind creates these scenarios for me over and over again. And I'm going to stay here in spite what it says. Maybe I am going to be an hour late to work this morning. Like, oh, tell them I had a mental breakdown. Don't laugh about mental breakdowns. I'm like, that would be me. When you're in that space and you're noticing it and you're noticing your brain and it is going off the wall and it's screaming at you about all the reasons how you're just making it late and let's just get the thing done. You can never get to the end of those things. You already know that. Be there and do this breath. You're going to go all the way in through your nose. And then when you get to the tippity top of that breath, you're going to go in again. What you're doing is you're sending a message to your nervous system of, you are not in a life and death situation, Emma. Even though your brain is acting like you have to rush through your whole life, never landing in the moment, no matter where you get to, there's always just that one more thing that you need to get done before you can relax, and you'd never get there. Sending an actual chemical message to your body of, you're good here. Okay, things might be a bit tight this morning, but you know what? You're actually all right. And I will stay with that breath until that circus has lapsed and everything in my nervous system has quietened, and I'm way stiller. There's a stillness that comes. And I'm like, okay. Now I'm going to go and do the thing. Like, I'm not going to eat my breakfast, standing around with a cup of tea, doing the things, doing the things. I'm not. I'm going to sit down. You can't, again, the chemistry inside your body. You can't sit down. You're going to be late and we need to da 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 da. How about you shut up, brain? And then you sit with your tea. And you glue yourself to this moment with your breath. Your breath and your body and your mind connected through this really basic breath. And then all of a sudden you've done that enough that your nervous system goes, oh, we're all right, actually. Yes, we are. And be there. And it might be that you are actually a little lapse on time. If you're anything like me, I have probably left it too late to get up and do all the things. But I would much rather bring my body, my nervous system into this relaxed space and then have a sip of tea or do the things and then move on to the next thing. I would rather spend the energy doing that to allow myself to ground here, because very powerfully, you're making space. You're here because you want more. You're here because what you're living out right now, you're like, there's more than this. And so you want change. And for so many of us, the brain is like, it's all right, babes, I've got it. What we're going to do is we're going to get up at 5 a.m. We're going to green smoothie. We're going to put everything all together. We're going to get everybody's lunch boxes ready. We're going to get the uniforms ready. We're going to do all the things. And then you do that night number one and then you're exhausted. And you don't do it the next day. And before you know it, you're back into that cycle. What this does is creates a space over and over and over again. You're connecting to subconscious source. And when you're connected to that space, everything opens up in your human psyche. Everything opens up and allows for space. Change happens in that space. I always share the story, and I share it in my book. And if you're interested to read the story and you don't have the book, let me know and I will send it over to you. I'm looking for the super cute picture. There it is. It's page 262. And it's about the moment where I was just frantically looking for my compost bin lid, and I was gutted because I've been harvesting these beautiful worms. They're like my babies, and like, come on, babies, I'll feed you. And it was raining, and I was frantically looking around. I'd left the lid off to get so it could oxygenate a little bit. They were all getting wet, and I was panic, like busy, and just need to get it done so I can get in, so I can dry off, so I can do the work, and da 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 da. And I couldn't find it. And I just made this space. I stood. It was a big sunflower that just looked up at me and was like, what are you doing? Yellow is surrender. I was like, I don't know. I'm trying to control this. And I looked up and pretended that the grey clouds weren't there. There's this beautiful big yellow sun because yellow is surrender. And I've trained my body and my mind to see yellow and see surrender and like let go. And so I took a breath and I looked out there and I took a breath and I relaxed and I was like, what am I doing? And I breathed and I came out and the compost lid was at my bloody feet. I'm like, that's the universe having a lull with me. Ridiculous. I was so frantic around all the things and it was just waiting there. So often that change that you want so much, you want it for a reason. I truly believe that if you have that feeling inside you and you want it, it's there on purpose. It has been placed there. And in order for that to become part of you, you have to make space. And the best way to make space in the thing that you want to change is notice in your right now where you're not making space for it and allow space to come. And not by doing anything different, by interrupting the habits and patterns and the way you do it right now, interrupting that with something as basic and simple as breathing until your nervous system is like, okay, I'm chill. And lo and behold, the compost lid is literally at your feet. Lo and behold, the change that you want I was going to use the word desperately, but that's not the vibe, is it? Because anything we're desperate for doesn't come towards us at all. But that change that you want so much, it just gets to be then. You don't have to go out of your way to go on the diet or to lose the weight or to read more books or to be able to meditate for longer or to do any of the things. All of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm just going to do that. And then when you can master that and you've made enough space, that's when quantum engineering, that's when like outcome engineering is just easy, and you can just start to manifest and create the life. But the change, the change comes from you making space in the moment. So go out today, or stay in today, or know if it's in the mornings when you are most frantic, or whatever it is that you want to change. Be on the lookout for where you're falling into old habits and old karmic patterns of doing the same thing over and over again. And instead of saying, oh, I really wish I could change this, be like, oh, I know that I can interrupt this. I know I can cut this off. And I know I'm not going to do it this way anymore. And you don't need a strategic plan. You just need to interrupt it enough times to create enough space that the compost lives there. And you're like, cool, next. I hope that's been helpful. Come join me again. Much love.